Instead of walking away with $15,000, we would walk away with $32,500 instead. That's why it's important to never throw out your max allowable offer first. What's up, everybody? In this video, I'll be showing you how you can wholesale a pre-foreclosure. This is going to be some great content that can help you out in your business. So just take 1 second, hit the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, and let's get into it. So there are 3 important factors for us as the wholesaler whenever it comes down to dealing with pre-foreclosure. The first factor that's very important is the auction date. The auction date is very important because you need to know when this property is potentially going to sell. If the property is going to sell on the 30th and it's the 29th, in certain places, it's going to be hard to help that seller out if the auction is the next day that you find out about the pre-foreclosure. Now, in my area, you still have a 10-day upset bid period. So if the property is going to auction on the 1st, you still have until the 10th or the 11th to help the seller out of their situation. But it's not that way in every single city or state. Now, the second thing that is very important is the reinstatement amount. The reinstatement amount is not going to affect what your offer is going to be, but it is going to help you see if a cash offer would actually help the seller out of the situation. Because if they owe more than what you can offer as a cash offer, then the seller would actually have to bring money to the table, and they're already in a tough situation, so how would they even do that? So then you may have to pursue other options, such as a creative finance type offer to the seller, subject to. You take the property over sub 2 and leave the mortgage in place. You just reinstate the loan. So basically, those are just options that you have. And the third important factor is the mortgage balance. The mortgage balance is important for the same reason that the reinstatement amount is important. It just helps us structure the deal and knowing that whatever cash offer that we come up with, if those numbers will work or not. Now, just to break down what the pre-foreclosure process look like, I'm gonna just keep it real simple because like I said, it can be different in every area. It's whenever a seller has fell behind on their loan, and let's say behind 3, 4, 5 months and the pre-foreclosure process has started and they have a reinstatement amount of $5,000. That's pretty much what a pre-foreclosure is, and we'll just come in and help them out of that situation, help them protect their credit, help them be able to go out and get another property if that's something that they would be interested in. Yeah, they may lose some equity, but it's better than a pre-foreclosure being on their credit. And it's better than them not being able to buy a property in the near future if that's something that they want to do. Now, I'm going to give a detailed example with numbers on how you would structure a regular deal. And then at the end, I'm going to factor in how it would look if you had a reinstatement amount and you had a loan balance, so you can see how you can structure your pre-foreclosure deals. Let's get into the example. So the first thing that's very important is the ARV, which is the after repair value. So let's say that the seller's property after repair value is $300,000. I use the as-is method, but mostly everybody is familiar with the 70%. I always check the as-is method that I use with the 70% rule to see how close the numbers are. So let's just use the 70% rule in this example. Let's say we multiply the ARV of $300,000 by 70%. That'll give you a total discount price at $210,000. We talked to the seller and the seller said that the property does need some repairs, but it's still in good condition. We decided that the total repair amount will be around $20,000. So that means that we would actually be able to flip this property to a cash buyer at $190,000. Now, what's going to make this so simple is anything that's less than that $190,000 is profit to us as the wholesaler. So let's say that we want to make $15,000 on the deal. That means our max allowable offer will be $175,000. Now, we're not going to start at our MAO, which is our max allowable offer. We're going to start at a lower number, especially if you're in a situation where the seller doesn't want to give you their price first. I always start way lower whenever they don't want to give me their price first. So let's say we subtract 10% from the $175,000, and that will create a starting offer of $157,000. So just knowing that we create that huge room in between, and we know that our first initial offer is not our best offer, the seller, of course, 9 times out of 10 will say, there's no way we're going to accept that. You might as well get off the phone with me right now, blah, blah, blah. They're just going to say all type of stuff. But the thing is, you know that your max allowable offer to make $15,000 on the deal is that $175,000 number. So that's just a simple $15,000 wholesale example. Now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna factor in the fact that it's a pre-foreclosure that we're trying to wholesale now. So let's say that this property has a reinstatement amount of $8,000 and it actually has a loan balance of $95,000. The only thing that we're gonna do in this situation is if we were originally gonna pay the seller $157,000, we're going to add the reinstatement amount and the loan amount together, which will create a total of $103,000. And we're going to subtract that from the original amount that we were going to pay the seller. And that's going to create an amount that the seller will walk away of. If we subtract $103,000 from $157,000, the seller would actually walk away with $54,500 in their pocket. In that scenario, if they accept the initial offer, we would actually, instead of walking away with $15,000, we would walk away with $32,500 instead. That's why it's important to never throw out your max allowable offer first. Make sure you take 10% off, 15% off, and start at that number. If the seller goes crazy on you, just calm them down and start the negotiation process with the seller. If you end up at $175,000, then you will walk away with $15,000. But that's pretty much what the pre-foreclosure process looks like, and that's how it's going to be handled pretty much on every deal, unless the reinstatement amount and the mortgage amount is more than what you can actually offer. Then, like I said before, you have to get more creative with the deal. Now, I'm gonna give you some tips on how you should approach a seller that's in pre-foreclosure. Whenever it comes down to a seller that's in pre-foreclosure, it's already a situation that's kind of tough on the seller, and yes, we are here to help. So just make sure whenever you're talking to the seller, especially at the beginning of the call, never mention to the seller that you know that they're in pre-foreclosure. They already know that. Let them open up to you about the pre-foreclosure that they're going through. Your main thing is you're just going to call and say, hey, my name is such and such, and I was just calling about your property off of 123 Main Street. I was wondering, would you possibly be interested in selling that property? That's all you have to do. It's pretty much a simple conversation. And then once you get to the point where you start talking about why they want to sell, you can say something like, wow, this is a pretty nice property. Is there any particular reason why you're thinking about selling this property? And sometimes they give it to you, sometimes they don't. That means you need to build a little bit more rapport with the seller to get it out of them. But eventually you're going to have to discuss that, or whenever you do lock the property up, it's going to come out during the escrow process anyway, even though it really doesn't matter as long as the numbers that you agree to is more than what they actually owe. So the numbers that you agree to will be more than what the seller actually owes on the property. So then they won't have to come out of pocket to get the deal closed, and they'll be able to put the property behind them. Another thing that's very important too, these sellers are in real life situations. So if you know that they're going to auction in 2 to 3 weeks, do not lock the property up at a price that you know you can't sell it at, because the seller is already in a tough situation. So don't make a promise to the seller that you can purchase their property when you know that your price is too high, because then when it come down to the auction that's going to happen in 2 weeks, then they're pretty much getting put out on the street. So make sure whenever you lock the deal up, it's locked up at a good price to where you can actually sell the property to an end buyer, or sell your agreement to an end buyer. But other than that, it's pretty simple. And if you would like to check out my wholesaling playlist where I go over so many different strategies that you can use to get started in real estate, please check out the video right here, because it's filled with a lot of value and a lot of information that can help you out. And I'll see you next time.